All right, good morning, everybody. 95% of all wealth is gone by the third generation. You've probably heard that before, and it's correct. And the reason is that people don't spend enough time teaching the next generation how to build wealth, how to conserve wealth, and how to educate their children on wealth. My name is Rich Lenin. Welcome to Growing the Money. We talk every morning from 9 to 9:10. We talk about growing our money. And this week or today, I'm going to talk about, again, we're going to talk about the Lenin Bank and how the Lenin Bank has really, how it's manifested itself and how it's grown over the last decade or so with my kids and how they're doing on it. Oh, it's hot out there. My coffee is cold though. All right, so I've been on a little sabbatical for the last 4 days, and we took the family and we drove around and we cruised all around Richmond, not Richmond, all around the state of Virginia, and we took our 4 day vacation. And I gave me some time to reflect on the Lenin Bank and how the Lenin Bank has grown over the years and how my kids have benefited from that. And after being in the Lenin Bank for about 10 years now, how that's manifested itself and how it plays out in situations such as, hey, we're going on vacation together as a group. We're going to go out and we're going to go do some stuff together. So, if you don't know about the Lenin Bank, which wouldn't shock me, but the Lenin Bank is briefly this. About 10 years ago, my wife and I decided to start paying the kids an allowance. And we decided to start paying them an allowance. Uh, and and it was based on the fact that we didn't want to do work. So we've taken one of the principles of the Lenin Bank is that it wraps into your family and it does things that your family was already going to do, but it makes the kids have the responsibility and some of the privilege of owning those decisions and making the financial decisions over long periods of time and seeing how that plays out for them. And so the Lenin Bank started when we didn't want to, by we, I mean kind of me, we didn't want to make the kids lunches anymore to go to school. And so the kids, of course, at that age, the greatest thing in the world is for them to go and they want to go buy their lunch. And at that time, lunch was $2. And of course, you're trying to have your kids eat healthy and you don't want them to eat all that junk that goes into the schools. So you're constantly making them lunch so that they can go off and they can eat healthy. Plus, it doesn't break your bank by having to go pay the money for the school food all the time. Although I got to say, $2 for a lunch is not that expensive, particularly when I look at the prices that I'm paying for lunch today. So what we did was we said, okay, children, we're going to pay you $20 every week, and that's going to be your allowance. Now, to do that, you have to have a set of chores. We have 3 boxes of chores. We call one of them the pet whisperer, and that person's responsible for all the duties of the pet that week. We call one of them the kitchen captain, which they're responsible for all the pieces of the kitchen, which is setting the kitchen table, clearing the kitchen table, doing the dishes, cleaning the counters, putting all the food away. Kitchen captain certainly is a lot of work. And our third one is general maintenance, where this is the general maintenance of the house. So this includes dusting, this includes vacuuming, this includes cleaning the bathrooms, this includes taking all the trash out. So basically, we gave them all the jobs that we did not want to do as parents. And we said, okay, you're going to do one of these jobs. And as a result of that, you're going to get $20 a week. The first thing we do is welcome to Uncle Sam. We're going to tax you 50% of your earnings, and so we're going to immediately take away $10. So we take the $20 that we give them, and we take the tax and we put it into a savings account for the kids. Now, I will tell you briefly that as that savings account has grown over the years, we then taught them how to go buy stocks. They buy the VU. They just buy what Warren Buffett tells them to do. They own the S&P 500, but it's given them the opportunity to teach them how to do that. But 10%, excuse me, 50%, $10 goes into the savings account every year, and the kids get to watch it grow, and later on watch it invest. And the other $10 that they get, they can either buy they can buy their lunch with that money. It costs $2 a day, so that $10 was engineered to be perfect so that they could just go buy lunch every single day. Or they can take that $10, they can put it in the bank account, and they can make their own lunch, and they can spend the $10 in any way they want. This has had a dramatic effect on their understanding and learning of money. First of all, they had to go out and earn it. They have to go out and make themselves a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever it is they do to go to lunch. But with that $10, they can literally go buy anything they want, and mom and dad are not allowed to tell them no. We do have a rule where you have to wait 2 weeks if you want to make a big purchase. So if you want to go buy a Fitbit or you want to go buy an iPad or something like that, then you have to wait at least 2 weeks to make sure that you still want it in 2 weeks, which I think is a pretty good rule. And so the kids, when they want something, they have to go work and they have to do labor to go get it, which is something that has been really wonderful because now the kids equate how many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that they have to make in order to go buy the thing that they want. And oh, by the way, a lot of times the thing that they want is something that mom and dad would likely have bought them anyway. So if they want a book, or maybe they want a video game, or maybe they want an iPad, or maybe they want a Fitbit, these are all things that they likely would have gotten as gifts anyway. But now they have put in the labor to buy it themselves. And so the big win that we first got was my daughter wanted to go buy a Fitbit. She thought it was really cool. Mom and dad didn't want to spend the money to buy the Fitbit. I don't know, it was like 80 bucks, 100 bucks at that point. So what she did is she made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for like 4 months straight, where she took her lunch to school, and then she was able to purchase her Fitbit. First of all, her siblings thought she was the coolest person in the world, and they wanted to mimic her behavior, and they began to do the same thing. Also, my daughter learned the value of that Fitbit. And so that has permeated through the Lenin household for about a decade now. And this last weekend, where we went on a 4 day weekend, we really see the benefits of the Lenin Bank. Here's a couple examples. I was gone for 4 days with the family, and not one child asked me to buy one thing one single time in 4 days because they are allowed to go buy anything that they want to buy when they want to buy it. Now, on vacation, we can give them a budget because you can't come back someplace for 2 weeks. And say, okay, you can go buy that tchotchke, then you're going to have to wait 2 weeks, and we're going to have to drive back here to do that. That doesn't work. And so they get a amount of money that they're allowed to spend of their own money. And I will tell you that that has eliminated all the superfluous things that they want to buy along the way, and makes life so much nicer and so much easier on mom and dad, because they've learned that if they spend that $10 on that tchotchke thing, then they have to go and they have to make a whole bunch of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in order to be able to have the money in the bank. And of course, you can imagine we have different kids and we have different outcomes of the Lenin Bank, and who has a lot of money and who has a little bit of money. And here's one thing that went on, and then I'm going to leave it at this, because if you made it this far, I'd like your opinion on it. So we try to go on vacations that don't cost a lot of money. Maybe another conversation for another day, but we want to teach our kids to be a steward of money, and for them to realize that we can go have an amazing 3 or 4 days at a fairly inexpensive cost. And that just revolves around the Lenin spending time together and entertaining ourselves while we go and experience things. And one of the things we ended up doing this past vacation is we went to the Charlestown races. You can get into the grandstand of the Charlestown races, you guessed it, for free. So you drive up, you walk down into the paddy, and you get to see the horses, and they get the race. And one of the things that you do at races is you gamble and you bet on the horses. So the wife and I had slightly different ideas about how we would handle this. Both of us wanted to go in and have the kids experience the idea of, I'm going to pick a horse and I'm going to see if the horse is going to win. My wife wanted to have a system where we were always going to be playing against the house. So the kids could go and they could spend their money on gambling on the horses to see who would win, but they would play against the house, and the house would be mommy and daddy. And this way, all the Lenin money stayed all together. I didn't like that idea. I wanted the kids to feel the loss of the money, because anybody who's gone to the horsing racetrack knows that you're not going to win. If you're going to win, it's going to be very rare. And so I wanted the kids to go experience that loss. And you can go to Charlestown Racings. You can bet $2 a race. And so for a total of $20, for the entire family, we went out and we were able to bet on the horses. And you bet them to place, show, or win, or whatever it is. They had to learn all that stuff, and they had to decide where they were going to put their money in attempt to gamble it. I wanted them to physically feel the loss of losing at a young age, so that they would recognize that gambling on horses is a bad thing. And I thought if we just all kept it inside the house, inside the house money, it wouldn't have been a very good, poignant lesson. So we allowed them to go out. We allowed them to bet on the horses. Of course, it was wonderful to watch all the personalities of that as the kids were budgeting themselves. We didn't tell them how much they could spend or not spend, and they were betting $2 on a horse. I had one child who just absolutely refused to bet, even if daddy was willing to split the bet with them because they didn't want to lose money. And that is a really good example of the Lenin Bank coming forward and having an impact on kids at a really young age. Because, like I said at the beginning, 95% of all wealth is lost by that third generation. So, as you're growing the money, as you're watching me growing the money, as you visit my website, richlennon.com, and you're downloading the Smarter Wealth Blueprint, we are teaching the kids to manage the money in the hopes that they will teach their kids to manage that money, and so on and so on and so on. And the Lenin Bank will survive for generations. My name is Rich Lennon. Thanks for joining me every morning on Growing the Money. I hope you got something out of this.